Good day, YouTube. We're back for another one. My tier list that is not a tier list. You know the routine. I'm your host, the one, the only Lefty Knox.
He needs some milk.
And we're here to talk about the two new champions that were added last month. One being Galan, the other being QuickSIlver. So let's hop into it. So let's talk about Galan first. I gotta admit, this champion was really interesting. So I bet you're wondering, first up, does Galan need to be awakened? Well, his awakened ability is Humble God of the Battle Rounds. Whenever Galan prevents a power drain, burn, lock, or special lock effect from a non-mystic champion via immunity, he gains 1 to 3 infinite physical resistance and energy resistance. These buffs are the same as those granted from striking the opponent with the Staff of Ta. When the Harvest is active, Galan becomes stun immune and deals a burst of 102 direct damage whenever Galan gains any amount of planetary mass. This damage scales with base attack only. So I'm gonna say he doesn't really need to be awakened. I mean, every champion benefits from their awakened ability, but if you manage to pull this champion, you don't necessarily need to awaken him. I think he pretty much is good as is. I mean, I got the impression that he doesn't need to be high sig as well, but yeah, I wouldn't awaken. I wouldn't bother using an awakening gem or a cosmic awakening gem on him. Next, let's talk about solar intensity. Galan starts each quest with 1 persistent solar intensity. This becomes 2 when defending and 3 if defending as a final boss. When Galan defeats a non-dimensional being, he gains 1 solar intensity. At 3 solar intensities, all of Galan's special attacks gain True Sense buff, bypassing the effects of miss and auto block. So very beneficial to have those solar intensities and to stack them. And another great thing, I want to talk about his Tawaiian biology. I don't think I'm saying that right, but I will say this: Galan's otherworldly nature provides immunity to Fate Seal and Nullify effects. Additionally, the Staff of Ta preserves Galan's power and grants immunity to Power Drain, Burn, Lock, and Special Lock. That's why I said he doesn't really need to be awakened, in my opinion. I think he's pretty much good as is. You know, he doesn't really benefit from his awaken. I mean, every champion benefits, but he doesn't need his awaken ability. And last but not least, well, not last, I also want to talk about like at planetary mass, meaning like, whenever he gains a buff, his planetary mass increases by 10. Galan also gains 50 planetary mass whenever the opponent gains an armor up effect, max 999. However, if Galan performs a special attack while the harvest is active, it becomes unblockable and the harvest ends. The burst of damage triggers on the final hit of the special attack. But, and there is a but there, landing a heavy attack with 100 or more planetary mass will trigger the harvest. Activating the harvest on attack prevents Galan from building power if above 1 bar power. So you can't gain any more power once you activate the planetary mass. So keep that in mind. Also, he has the Cosmic Seeds of Heralds. And this basically means once per quest, Galan consumes 2 solar intensity in pre-fight menu to place a cross-fight Cosmic Seed on the next fight. The Cosmic Champion, excluding Galan to enter the quest, gains the seed and becomes a herald for the rest of the quest. Whenever a herald emerges victorious, the seed will grow in power to gain abilities. So if he has 0+ victories, herald reduce the potency of all power burn effects. At +1 victories, heralds gain a 7% resistance to all damaging debuffs for each victory. And at 2+ victories, heralds become unblockable when launching a special attack into your opponent's block. This buff lasts for the duration of special attacks with additional 1 second added for each victory. Once activated, this ability goes on cooldown for 24 seconds. So in my opinion, I feel like he's the Cosmic Apocalypse. And I feel like after playing this champion, he does have a really high skill cap. So that's why I placed him here on my list of a tier list that isn't a tier list, as high skill required to play Galan. Overall, good champion. I had a bunch of fun, and if I would have pulled him, he's a great support champion and great on his own. So yes, overall, this is a really good champion. High skill cap though, and doesn't need to be awakened. So yeah. So next up, we're going to talk about my favorite character from last month, which is QuickSIlver. And I bet you're wondering, does he need to be awakened? Let's get to the point. Does he need to be awakened? So in my opinion, I'm going to say yes, because when he's at 60 stacks or more Whiplash, Well, when at 60 stacks or more, Whiplash expire at the same time, inflict a stun debuff for 5 seconds. Terminal velocity duration is increased by 5 seconds if maxed out, and with their max stacks increased by 3. When the opponent is suffering from a personal stun, the combat power rate is reduced by 50%, of course when they're at 200 sig, and striking the opponent with light and medium attacks locks them in place and increases QuickSilver speed. So overall, yes, QuickSilver does need to be awakened, preferably. In my opinion, I don't think he needs to be high sig. I would just, Sig 1 is fine, but if you're an overachiever like me, I'll put him at Sig 200 because he has great prestige as well. So another ability that QuickSilver has, 100% to evade attacks while dashing or while stunned. This ability has a 15-second cooldown, however. When dodging back, QuickSilver cannot be struck. Whenever he successfully dodges an attack, he inflicts a Wither debuff on the opponent, debuff of 35% potency, lasting 10 seconds, max stack 3. When the opponent loses a bar of power, you pause all trauma and Wither debuffs for 10 seconds. And I gotta admit, this ability makes him overpowered in my opinion, but I love it. I'm not complaining, so hey, Kabam made the character and we're gonna stick with it. Also, let's talk about Whiplash for a second. Basic attacks have a 35% chance to inflict a Whiplash debuff, dealing 1,921 damage over 12 seconds. Dodging attack in second medium refreshes the Whiplash. When QuickSilver would evade or when the opponent dodges an attack, 50% chance to inflict a Whiplash debuff. Well-timed blocks removes one Whiplash at a time. So basically, once you get a Whiplash on an opponent, it's really difficult for that opponent to remove the Whiplash, which I absolutely love. And let's talk about his momentum. Dodging back grants 12 momentum charges and basic hits grants 1 charge. Every 100 charges reduce evade cooldown by 1 second. At 300 charges, QuickSilver cannot miss and inflicts a slow debuff. At 600 charges, he triggers the parry mastery against non-contact attacks, and his evade ability accuracy cannot be reduced. Also, if you throw a heavy with QuickSilver, you double the momentum charges you receive, so keep that in mind. At 900 charges, enter terminal velocity mode, increasing the dodge and vulnerability window by 33% and retaining all momentum ability for 10 seconds while active. Gaining charges instead pauses the terminal velocity for 25 seconds. So basically, if you gain more momentum charges while you are dodging back, you pause the terminal velocity so it lasts even longer. And look at this, when the opponent is stunned, they get locked in place, so you can just wail on them. I gotta admit, this champion QuickSilver, he clearly, in my opinion, is one of the best champions that came out this year. The best, like even over Omega Sentinel. So if I had I'm gonna put him on my tier list right here. I put him under high skill cap because he is a little bit clunky to play. Like if you don't understand how he works and all of his mechanics, you can definitely make some fatal errors. I've done it in war. It wasn't pretty, and I still regret it to this day. But once you get him down to a science, you're going to be good. So overall, QuickSilver, an amazing champion, best champion of the year in my opinion. And yeah, he's that guy. So yeah, and yeah, that was my thoughts and feelings about the 2 new champions, Galan and QuickSilver. Other than that, there wasn't much movement on my tier list that isn't a tier list. Antman did get a buff, but it wasn't really well received by the MCOC community. I mean, there's still things that people still have some concerns about it. I got him right here as a synergy champion. That's primarily because of Ghost, but I don't think he needs to be moved at this point in time. He may be a better defender. Matter of fact, we'll just move him to defense for now. Account changing defender because he doesn't gain buffs and he probably will be a very annoying defender. So that was the only movement. And like I always say, if you can hit that like button, I would greatly appreciate it. And for anyone new here, if you can hit that subscribe button, I would appreciate that too. Y'all take care and have a great and wonderful day.